Welcome to Y Nada Más, a Real Madrid podcast.
Wow, guys. Wow. What a day. What a game. Welcome to Y Nada Más, the Real Madrid podcast. I am your host, Eric Rivera. It has been a while since we did a podcast. And, first things first, to clear kind of the air, I guess. It's been a while because, as some of you guys that do follow me on Twitter know, I lost to someone in the family, a cousin of mine, and it hit me hard. Young kid, only 24 years old, had a lot of things going for him. Kind of a close cousin, I would say, because one of the younger cousins, and it was tough, so I kind of took a break from the podcast. I had a lot of things going on with that, and then in addition to work, but my goal has always been to do the same, to really focus on this podcast. I don't want it to fall by the wayside. I don't want to give up on it, and that's really all up to me. It's really all up to me, and it's really all up to the team that I have around me to kind of keep me motivated and keep going. So, and then, just being part of this community, of the Madrid community. I've had a lot of good feedback from you guys. I've had some cool people join up with me. And it's exciting. So it's something that I don't want to allow to fall by the wayside. So I apologize if it did for that time that it's been out. I think the last time I had a podcast was sometime early February. So it's been more than a couple of weeks, almost a month now. So I apologize for that, but there was, some, extenuating circumstances pretty much. But now I'm back, and the goal is to continue to focus on it. And so much so that, we've had new additions to the podcast, as Halal Udin, he's a guy that's writing for us. He's in the UK. I've really liked his work. He's a really talented writer. And then he also has been on the podcast as well. So he's going to join us occasionally as well. Then from Kolkata, my good friend, Trombach, who started, was one of my first writers here. He's now the senior contributor. I like bringing him on the podcast. I like him to be writing, but I want him to be more involved as well here. So I'm going to try to have them, since this is right after the game. So essentially right now, guys, it's 10. I'm recording this at like 10 o'clock p.m. On Wednesday. The game ended, obviously, many hours ago. I was at work while the game was going on. Of course, I'm talking about the PSG versus Real Madrid game, where we had an epic comeback. So I'm recording this now. I wanted to record a quick thing right after the podcast. I'm sorry, right after the game, a quick podcast right after the game, or after the game, essentially, because I just wanted to put it out. I mean, I just wanted to share in the excitement that all of us are going through right now, which is amazing to see this team. And there's a couple different reasons I want to talk about of why, I don't want to get into stats. I want to get into maybe this whole philosophical, emotional level that I love to think about when it comes to sports. But anyway, those guys are going to be joining me for this weekend. We're trying to get together to have all three of them, both of them on the podcast with myself. And then in addition, later on, I also want to bring Jota Real Madrid, who has his channel in Spanish. He had one in English that I was helping him out with. But I want to bring him on as well. He's a very knowledgeable guy. He's been speaking to a lot of people about the Haaland situation, about the Mbappe situation, people that have been close to that whole, that are very much journalists that are close to the scene in Spain, because he's got those contacts. So I want to bring him on for a conversation about that. But right now, it's definitely all about the Real Madrid PSG game. So I wanted to do a quick podcast about that. and I've been watching the game again. I've been watching highlights. So just to give you an idea, I was watching the game. I was watching the game at my job. So I was watching it while I was doing other work. I, usually put some headphones in and I started listening to it. But, what I wanted to do today was I was trying to focus a lot on kind of trying to get a lot of my work done to get it out of the way so that I could kind of focus a little bit more on the game. And that's what I did. I got away some of my responsibilities out of the way. And so I had a little bit more free time to be glancing back and forth to the game. And I don't think I glanced. I think I was stuck on the game the entire time. And it was nerve-wracking to say the least, because I wanted to yell and scream. And you guys that follow on Twitter, which you can follow here at the bottom, I'm most active on Twitter. It's at @inadamas podcast. That's where you'll find me on Twitter. On Instagram, it's YNM Podcast, and on Facebook, it's at Inadamas Podcast, and then also our website, which is at inadamas.net or inadamas.net. So yeah, guys, I was watching the game. I wanted to yell, I wanted to scream, but I couldn't because I was just sitting there at an office. Got home, decided to watch a lot of different things. I watched El Chiringuito. I watched reviews from CBS Sports. Was listening to every different pundits from the UK, from Spain, from everywhere, reading everything that you guys have been writing in football Twitter, or what football Twitter is writing, but mostly, of course, Madridistas. And it really comes down to, I think a lot of us were worried about the game, essentially, after Mbappe scored the first goal. I think a lot of us felt like that was it. That was over. It was over. And the thing is, it's funny with me. I always, like I said, I think I'm a perpetually, optimistic Madridista. I try, if you guys have heard the podcast before, if you're hearing it for the first time, I am not one guy to shit on players or, do too much banter, when it comes to the players, or shit on coaches. I do like Ancelotti. I liked him the first time he was with us. I think he's, one of those guys that's a total gentleman of a coach. I think he knows how to manage stars like these guys. But the problem is he's stubborn in his ways, and that definitely can cause problems and has caused problems. It cost him his first go around, and it could potentially cost him his second go around. But at least he was weary enough about it, or it was worried enough, or I guess in tune enough about it today to change things when he needed to change things. And, brought in Camavinga, brought in Rodrigo when we saw that Asensio wasn't working out. Kroos had just come back from an injury. So I think it was, we were all worried about Kroos. But I think, so talking about, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about tactics and stuff like that. But I think a lot of people were worried because, of course, after we didn't play well at all versus PSG in Paris. Not being without Casemiro and being without Mendy, two guys that I would say complete, that are just absolute starters. The worry was essentially after we heard that Kroos got injured, or he was injured and he couldn't play in the Real Sociedad game. It was, what is going to happen when we play against PSG? And in a way, we kind of almost forced it. I think we kind of almost went down the same route which we went with Chelsea last season during the semifinal, which was playing, an injured Ramos at that time and an injured Mendy at that time, who were just coming back for injury, and we saw how that fared. And then besides that, with no rotation because Valverde was injured, because we didn't have a Camavinga, because of other Odegaard, I think at that point was already gone. We didn't have any other rotations for Luka Modric and for Toni Kroos. It was like these guys had played so many minutes that they were just simply exhausted. Casemiro as well. They were just simply exhausted. And we almost went down that route today. And thankfully, we had people on the bench like Camavinga. We had people on the bench like Rodrigo to change up the things. And then we already had started with Valverde. And I think the one thing that I can take away from this game is you know, I think Ancelotti, it would be the worst thing that I could possibly, you know, as much as I like Ancelotti, I think it would be the worst possible move from him if he were to not, after what was shown today by guys like Fede Valverde, to not play Fede Valverde, to not give Camavinga more minutes. I mean, these guys are going to be the heirs to the throne of what we know as the, you know, Casemiro, Modric, and Kroos midfield. Modric had a fantastic game today, legendary game today. Same thing with Benzema. Those two guys are the stuff of legends. Kroos as well and Casemiro as well. But Kroos obviously was not. You know, the problem is we have an aging midfield. Those three guys cannot play. If we want to play this pressing style, which we showed versus Real Sociedad, and it helped us out, and we showed versus PSG today. If we want to play that style, then you cannot play a Kroos and you cannot play Modric for the entire game. Although today, obviously, you know, he's magic, you know. But he has to be assisted by young guns like Fede Valverde and Camavinga, because having those two guys, you know, pressing and doing the fighting for him, he has the ability to do the magic that he has, which is create plays and run up the pitch when we need him and do the things that the magic that Modric does, you know, especially. And let's say it's not Modric, but you have Kroos in there doing it. You know, Casemiro needs a break sometimes, so bring in these guys as well. You know, if there's anyone that needs a break, it's Casemiro, who's played consistently for, I don't know how many years now, and we never rotate that guy. So essentially, you know, Camavinga and Valverde, those guys need to get more minutes because we saw how the game changed against them. And if you're going to press, if you're going to play a pressing game like this, you need to also, you know, I'm sorry, but like, as much as I like Asensio's left foot, I think, and a lot of us thought that Asensio was going to be the new star. He simply isn't good enough for Real Madrid. And I'm not saying he's a bad player, because like I said, I don't like to shit on players. He is not a bad player. But for what Real Madrid wants to do, for what Real Madrid is known for the fact that Real Madrid is a team that is always looking to win and always have success, Asensio is simply not the guy. He is too lukewarm. He is too up and down. He is too inconsistent. The only thing he can do is, if he's in a pinch and gets a wide open space, he can use that left foot and score a goal for us. And yes, that will get us out of problems, but that is not something that we can base the entire remainder of the Champions League on, especially if we're going to go up against other teams like Manchester United, Manchester City, like Liverpool, like Bayern Munich, like those teams, like Chelsea. If we're going to have to, if we want to get through in this Champions League and do something, which I think we can possibly do, because this is a team that believes in itself. This is a team. That's the thing. That's the number one thing. So anyway, if we want to, and that's something I want to touch on in a second, but the only way we're going to be able to do that is that we have to have youthfulness in this side, and we have to have guys like Rodrigo that'll come back and press. And the things that frustrated me with Asensio in this game, which is he was taking not even good looks on goal. He was taking the shots. Carvajal, the same thing. Not even good looks on goal. He was taking shots, making errant passes. You know, he tried to do, as you call, like an autopase. I don't know how you say it in English, but he tried to basically get around, I think it was Nuno Mendes, and he was trying to get around him, and it ended up costing him the ball. He loses possession. The ball goes to Neymar. Neymar just chucks it right over Militao and right into the run of Mbappe. And of course, when Mbappe is one-on-one with Thibaut Courtois, it's, you know, the chances of any keeper in the world is, I mean, and even one the likes and the great, with the greatness that Thibaut Courtois has, to face a one-on-one situation with Mbappe is not easy. And, you know, if we're going to pay pressing too, we also need to get a right back that can hold that. I mean, and like, to be fair, guys, I mean, keep up with, like, you know, being able to go forward like that. but they can't lose possession. If they're going to be pressing like that, they can't lose possession, especially if they know that the guy that's right behind them is Mbappe. And there's no way that unless they're wearing rocket skates, are they going to be able to get back and stop Mbappe on a counter-attacking run. So really just bad passing there, and losing that position. It got everybody. It leaves everybody out of position, and that was what cost us the first goal. But then again, I don't want to blame everything on on Carvajal, because Mbappe is without a doubt the best player in the world right now. I think without a doubt the best forward in the world right now, especially if we're talking about left wing. He's the best left winger right now. He's one of the best strikers in the world right now. He's basically one of the best players in the world right now. And one-on-one, I know a lot of people hammered him for the Paris Saint-Germain game, but that was just in Paris, the first leg. That was a combination of different factors, because of course at the same time, you can't expect somebody like Carvajal, who's been injury prone, who is also, getting up there in years as well, who, just doesn't have that pace anyway to be able to keep up and stop the likes of Mbappe. Mbappe would be a nightmare for any single player, and is a nightmare for any single right back in the entire world. I don't think anyone could keep up with that man and stop him, time and time again, especially if you leave things open for him to run at you. And in the first game, we gifted them possession, and we played an ultra defensive, which, obviously Ancelotti got shit for, played ultra defensively, and he had to switch it up. And he switched it up by bringing Valverde, by playing a more pressing game, by having more youthful legs in there, being quicker. And the one thing that helped us out today was, especially Valverde, was all over the pitch. The one thing that we didn't have in the first go around with PSG was that especially that idea of pressuring, pressuring high, but at the same time having somebody that could do that. And that has a gas tank to do that. The guy was all over the pitch, running himself ragged. And then in addition to that, bringing on Camavinga to replace Kroos gave another set of lungs, another set of quick legs to solve the problem in the midfield. And after Benzema scored the goal, after that mistake from Donnarumma and scored that goal, having those guys fired up, those young guys fired up, ready to go, ready to tackle, ready to go after these guys, and PSG beginning to fall flat, beginning to lose the ball in the midfield. Then they get scored on again by Benzema, with that insane run by Modric, which was absolutely beautiful. Running, the guys that were around Modric at that time were Neymar, I think it was Gueye, Berratti. There was a couple of other dudes just around him at that moment trying to stop him, and they could not stop him. He just ran and then saw the opening, saw Vinicius coming in for the run, going for the run, passes a beautiful ball to him, and then we all know what happens. Obviously, it looked like Vinicius wasn't going to be able to score. He passes the ball out to Modric. Modric sets up Benzema, and Benzema scores 2-1, 2-2 on aggregate. And after that, PSG fell flat. So, that's kind of what, we need those guys. We need that youthfulness. We need that strength. We already have it with Vinicius as a forward. I think Rodrigo did a good job today. Yes, he might not have the striking ability that Asensio has, or the dribbling that Vinicius has, but he brings that youthfulness to the table. He brings also the fact that he will track back and defend and help when we need it. So Asensio is good essentially when, you're not playing a team that is going to have, let's say, is going to be, bombing forward with their wingers, and that that our right back like Carvajal and our midfield, let's say if it was Modric in there and not Valverde, would be able to keep up with that guy. And maybe they're not a team that's consistently attacking. So if you have a team that is low blocking and not allowing us to essentially, and not really interested in moving forward and going forward and attacking. Asensio is the type of guy that with his left foot, that with his ability to shoot on goal and score, he's a guy that can open up those type of defenses for you. But in a game where you need to be attacking, where you need to be tracking back because the other team is just as tough and is just as quick moving forward offensively, or even faster than we are, you need somebody else that can track back and also help Carvajal, because Carvajal is not a young dude anymore. He's, like I said, he's injury prone. I don't think he's in the best form of his life because, we've seen that. You need somebody like Rodrigo. So if we're going to play those games going forward, we need to have, that needs to be set from the get-go, I think. At least starting strong and maybe being able to score strong instead of like this feeling that we've all been having as Madridistas during this season, which is like, we have to be struggling before we can actually, see some change in the tactics by Ancelotti, or see some of these younger guys come on. So that needs to change, and I hopefully this game kind of wakes Ancelotti up to that. But he's so stubborn that maybe it's not going to happen, but whatever. Anyway, guys, I guess the one thing I wanted to say is that this is a team. This is a team, and what PSG doesn't have, I've talked about it. I talked about it when they brought in Messi, they brought in Hakimi, they brought in Sergio Ramos, they got in Wijnaldum, they got all these guys, Donnarumma, they brought all these guys, paid all this money. They've been super arrogant about it, the Al-Khelaifi and Leonardo, even causing havoc today in the dressing room, because that's the thing with some of these state-run clubs, guys. That's the thing when you have all the money in the world and you're thinking that all the money in the world is going to help you, that all this money is going to help you buy a Champions League winning team. And it's not easy to do that because, well, we can joke around and say that winning 13 Champions Leagues is not for everyone. Winning 3 in a row is not for everyone. That only happens to a team called Real Madrid. But at the same time, it's that, it was something that I repeated in a lot of other podcasts before, is that money does not buy greatness, guys. Money does not buy greatness. You can combine all of these guys and put them, all the best players in the world, and put them on a team. But if there is no chemistry, if there is no team, you're going to see what happened today with PSG, and has happened with PSG for the past, I don't know how many seasons that they've been working on this project since they've had, the Qataris on board, and Al-Khelaifi on board. It's trying to buy talented players, but, and so worried about playing the stars and making sure that the stars are playing and that the stars are happy, that the coaches have not been able to reel these guys in. It's been a lot of mentions about how Tuchel couldn't do it. He couldn't play the way he wanted to because he had to essentially, play the stars. He had to go by what the dressing room was going, by all the stars in the egos he had in the dressing room. The same thing happened with Unai Emery. And now it's happening with Pochettino. Honestly, I think Pochettino is a good coach. I think he is a talented coach. The things he did with Tottenham, even though, he didn't have the greatest players at his disposal, but he was still able to take them, be pretty consistent with them, at least just short of winning the Champions League, going to a final. I think he is a good coach. But you put him in a situation like that, it was one to lose. It was one to where the coach, basically the dressing room at PSG is running things. They're not a team. They are a group of individuals that are really, really good at football, all of them, but they are not a team. Watch the video, guys. Watch the video that came out. El Chiringuito played it, and then I think it's also on YouTube. It was from Real Madrid. It's like Real Madrid Inside. Watch Modric. If there's any other reason, obviously, I don't think there's more reason to love Modric or more reasons to love Modric. But if you could see that inside of him celebrating after they won against PSG today, he basically goes to each player one by one, congratulates them, gives them hugs, tells them that that's the way to do it, that, he's proud of them. I mean, this dude is a fucking leader, man. And it just shows that this team is united. This team is united, whether it's Vinicius, humbling himself, being as young and talented as he is, so humbling himself before, the legends that he knows are Benzema and Kroos and Modric and Casemiro, because he knows those guys have won everything before, and he's actually going to sit there and listen to them, and take their advice and get the experience. That kind of stuff. He loves Madrid, and that's important. Alaba has come in and just become a part of this team right away. Loves this team, loves being part of the team. Militao, the same thing. This team is absolutely united. There is not one guy on this team that I think doesn't want to be a part of Real Madrid. And the thing that's amazing to me is watching that video with Modric really made me see that's what being a team is, and that's what PSG doesn't have. So you could be all of these individuals together like PSG has. Throw money at the situation. Bring in Messi. Bring in have Neymar already. Have Mbappe. Then bring in Sergio Ramos, who unfortunately hasn't been able to play because he's been injured. Who else did they get? Ashraf Hakimi, Donnarumma. You can have all these guys. Verratti. You have all this talent, but you're letting them run wild. And at the same time, you're not letting a coach do his job, or a coach might not even be able to do his job. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Because if the behavior of these two knuckleheads like El Khalifi and Leonardo is any indication, that team is going to go nowhere, absolutely nowhere. That's not a team, So that's not a team. That's just a group of individuals that happen to be really good at football, But once again, money will not buy greatness. Money will not buy greatness. And the thing that we have at Real Madrid as Madridistas, what I would say should make all of you guys that are listening to this podcast right now proud, is the fact that, and we did it last season as well, with a team that was broken down and hurt and injured, with, so many people in injuries, COVID, playing at the Alfredo Di Stefano because the Bernabeu was under construction. Even Zidane had COVID at that time. So many problems up and down the organization at that time when it came to like our players and everything. And they were still able to make it to the semifinal. They still almost won La Liga, if it wasn't for some shoddy refereeing. It was because the team has a core of people that have a lot of heart and that really love this club. And that's why I think, it's at the same time, I dislike hearing people shit on guys like Casemiro and Kroos and Modric or whatever, because yes, they are getting up there in age, but what they bring to the table is experience. And what they are doing is they are bringing that to the younger guys that are coming up, and not only experience, but a love for Madrid, and then also a love of the culture of Madrid, and understanding that you need to come to this team and you need to love the team. You need to love the crest. You need to put this team above everything else. You need to be a part of a unit. You need to be a part of a community, because look at all of us as Madridistas. We're a community, You have to be a part of a community, You have to essentially like, it's like kind of seeing what Marcelo's doing, what Benzema has said in the past, where he says, if I feel like I can't play anymore, or that I would become a detriment to this team, I will step aside. Like Marcelo is doing, who's essentially kind of taking on that role. But we've all been kind of happy to see, a way that it's almost endearing. Like, we know he's not at the same level anymore, but everyone still loves him, because at the same time, he's not, bitching about not playing. He's not causing trouble, and then at the same time is a guy who says, you know what, I'd rather retire and go play in Brazil because I don't want to face Real Madrid, because this is my team, like that's the type of mentality that this team has right now. And those are the intangibles, guys, the intangibles that that are outside the statistics. They're outside the expected goals. They're outside the passes and, accurate passes and total passes and shots on goal and possession and all the things that you can calculate. All those stats that you can calculate. The outside factors are the intangibles. Is this team a unit? Does this team have chemistry? Does this team work together well? Do these guys enjoy playing with each other? Because if you have guys that enjoy playing with each other, sometimes they don't even have to be that great. They don't have to be the best players in the world. But if they're understanding each other and playing as a team, they will go pretty far until they meet maybe a team that is full of really talented guys, but also a team that works together, which, is something that we will face in this Champions League, like a team like Manchester City, a team like Liverpool, which are guys that play very well, that are very good football players, but not only that, are also a united team, are a united unit. Those are the teams, although we won today, and I'm very happy of beating PSG, this was an example of what it is for an actual team, to play another organization, not even a team, to play an organization that is just made up of individuals that are really good at football, that are slapped together because they think that money is going to solve all the problems, that money is going to paper over all the cracks. And the other thing is they have Mbappe, who is without a doubt one of the best players in the world, and his talent is what papers over all the cracks at or some of the cracks at PSG, because the failures that they've been having, the failures that they have are sometimes glossed over because of the fact that they have a guy that when he gets on a run, there's no one in hell that's going to be able to stop him, and he will score on you. And then, I don't want to crap on Messi and things like that. Messi might not be in his best performance as of late, but if those guys wake up and they do well, they're going to score on you. But the problem is the team, once again, they don't play like a unit. I don't think the coach even wants to be there. I don't think the coach wants to deal with the whole thing. Like I said, if the behavior by the upper echelon, by the sporting director and the president of the company is, that they're going to go fight with refs and they're going to start causing shit in the dressing room when they lose, that is just, you could see that, you could just say that that's a toxic environment, and that's never going to help these guys go anywhere, because no one is really running the show. There is no mindset. There is no actual philosophy of a team, of what it takes to be a winning football team. And that is something that Madrid has. That is something that I would say Chelsea have. That is something that, these Premier League teams, like, that we're not going to lie about it. The Premier League right now is in a good spot. But the thing, the teams like Chelsea, the teams like Liverpool, the teams like Man City, that even maybe I would say Bayern Munich as well, where the team is a united front. And aside from that, they play really well. Those are the teams that are going to cause us trouble. But at the same time, what we're seeing now in the Champions League is I think the teams that are going to remain are the teams that really, really are playing as a unit, are playing good football when it comes to understanding how it is. Not even good football. Sometimes, like I said, with Real Madrid, it was about it was about heart and grit and, once again, the intangibles, some luck, making substitutions at the right time. Maybe next time, hopefully with Ancelotti starting with the lineup that we kind of all feel should be the lineup. Those are the things that will help us. But I feel like, you cannot leave Madrid for dead. You cannot say that this is a team that, I saw some pundits saying, like Jamie Carragher and Micah Richardson and these guys talking about how this is not a team that can win the Champions League. You never know that. You never know. In a tournament, anything can happen. You can walk in. We can walk in the same way PSG had a shit game today in the second half. They can walk into a situation where Man City might have the same problem, or Bayern might have the same problem. All of these teams have lost games sometime at some point this season. Chelsea hasn't, I think the one that I would say is the highest flying really consistently right now is Liverpool, and the funny thing is, didn't Liverpool just lost their game against Inter, so they can be beaten. They can be beaten, guys. It's just, So to say that Real Madrid has no chance, we showed today. This team showed today that they have an absolute chance, and this is Real Madrid operating in a transitional period. But I 100% agree. Just to sum it all up, because I don't want it to go on, because I'm going to have more discussion about this, obviously, in the weekend when I bring Trombach and Halal onto the show. But the one thing I wanted to say is this is still a transition period, but one thing is for certain is obviously, we want somebody like Kylian Mbappe, because besides the fact that he was at PSG, he's the guy, he's the man right now. He's the one you want to have on your team. So bringing him is going to be a huge addition. But I do think essentially that we need to solve the problems at our right back position. We need to have another, quality center back. We need to have maybe another, I think, defensive midfielder that can help us out, that can help Casemiro out. Just that little bit more, that depth, maybe 3 or 4 players more. And I guarantee you guys 5 players more. Let's say if we get a Haaland, if we get an Mbappe, but you need another backup center back. You need definitely another right back, possibly another left back. So you need those guys, somebody to back up there in those situations, somebody to compete for those positions and not leave us and give us, I think, squad depth now that we need, but more reliable squad depth where the drop of quality from the first team to the second team isn't as drastic. Because I feel like when it comes to strikers, we have Benzema, and then there's, Jovic and Mariano. As much as I want Jovic to succeed, it's not happening. On the right wing, we have that issue, of course, where it's between Asensio and Rodrigo, and I think we have other options there. Bale is obviously not in the picture. He's going to be gone. I think, if Mbappe comes I don't think Hazard's going to be an issue here for us anymore. I don't think he's going to be with us anymore. When it comes to, Carvajal, we need somebody else as a right back as well. It can't just be Lucas Vázquez to fill in that hole, So, aside from getting Mbappe and all that type of stuff, we need those other positions to be filled. Especially, like I said, right back is a concern. Center defensive mid, I think, and then of course the right wing will be solved if Mbappe comes, and a reliable backup striker. So will Benzema be the reliable backup striker? If he continues to play the way he's playing, But will him and Haaland play up there well? Who knows? But I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that remain to be seen. But right now, the focus definitely is. Or what I want to focus on is just how happy we are for winning this game today. But I think what it is most important for you guys to take away is, once again, money doesn't buy greatness, and a team that operates as a unit, that actually operates as a team, is always going to overcome a unit or an organization that is just full of individual talent, but that don't know how to work together. And that's what we saw happen today. That's what we saw happen with PSG, and that's what's going to continue to happen with PSG, because their program, and I could see why Kylian Mbappe wants to leave, because their program isn't going to go anywhere. And I think the proof is in the pudding, as they say. It's not going to go anywhere right now. No wonder he wants to come to some place like Madrid, because at least there's a program here, and at least there's a group of individuals that really want to fight and always continue to want to fight for every single trophy that there is. So that's what I'll leave you guys with. I mean, that was pretty much my feeling for today, and I'm just really happy about this win. It was huge. It was huge for us. It was something that I haven't felt in a while in a Real Madrid game, a nervousness and excitement. I mean, I don't think it was since winning the Champions League, essentially, was a game this big. And it was mostly because I feel like a lot of us had a bone to pick with PSG for not accepting, for not letting us have Mbappe when we were giving them money for him, and then dragging this whole situation out. And if Mbappe does come, I think the guy has even more of a reason to want to be here. All right, guys, that's it for this podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on Spotify. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can listen pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. Follow us at Inadamas Podcast on Twitter, Inadamas Podcast on Facebook, and YNM Podcast on Instagram. And then, of course, you can also follow us. Look us up on YouTube, Inadamas Podcast, if you want to see the video version of this podcast, unless you're watching the video version right now. And stay tuned, guys. We're going to have another show with, like I said, with my good friends Hilal and Trambach. They will be on the show. We'll do one this weekend after the game this weekend. But a la Madrid, guys. What a great, great day for Madrid. Peace.